Hello everybody. Welcome to Networking with Nathaniel. I have a pretty long time friend, all things considered, here within the Sub 2 community, joined about the same time that I did. It's been a year and a few months now. This is October 2023. I think it was May, June of 2022. And as we were just talking about before we started rolling here, this is the first time we've actually ever seen each other. So,
Yeah, it's bananas, man. We talked like multiple times a week for
yeah,
probably about 6 months, I think.
yeah. And
Yeah,
now it's been,
yeah.
wait, what the heck? Where's this bubble come from? Did you
Which
just
bubble?
like or something?
Oh, my freaking phone is being. So there's a new update for Apple, and
Okay.
so watch. I just saw this today earlier on. See, thumbs up.
Oh, what the heck? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm
Anyways,
I'm glad
yeah.
I'm not losing my mind.
Yep.
But yeah,
Nope.
everybody, this is Shawn Kitzman. He's up in the Minnesota area. What is it? The Twin Cities, St. Paul and
Twin Cities. Yep.
Minneapolis. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And he's been doing a lot of different things over the past year and a half. What's kind of keeping you busy these days, Shawn?
Well, we're growing out our team a little bit. We are going to hire a VA. Actually, we have our interview for our VA tomorrow. So we've been direct to agent for the last year,
Yeah.
and tomorrow we're going to hire a VA to go direct to seller as well.
Okay.
So, we're finding that we get good leads from agents in a certain time frame here in Minnesota, like my year of experience. So that obviously makes me an expert. I
Yeah.
can write books and have mentorships and retire now because
Yeah,
I've been at it
that's
for
it.
a year. But my year of experience has shown us that probably from, let's say, maybe April, although this year it wasn't until May that we started to get leads. I think you and I had talked about it a couple times over the winter, was like, man,
Yeah.
after the middle of February, the market was dead here from February to literally May. And so we've been kind of searching around for different ideas of how we're going to, try and get a little bit more consistent lead flow, especially during the winter. And we feel like the squad, as we call each other, Markeisha Wood Smith and Sophie Fan, are local sub two members
Yeah.
here in the Minneapolis area, and we squatted up right around the same time that you and I met during the original Elephant Challenge.
Yep.
And so the three of us, Markeisha and Sophie and I, have been working together for the last year. We're gonna get an LLC together, like actually make it official. We're done dating. We're all gonna get married here, and but yeah, we've decided that kind of the next step for us after we're probably about 60% of the way there, I would say, as far as direct to agent goes.
Okay.
I want to get to like 80%, where I'm happy with 80% of it, to call it almost good, and then we're just trying to fix the small things.
Okay.
But my VA Jerry is getting increasingly better and better and better about calling agents with his confidence and all the rest of that stuff. So I feel like we can switch gears a little bit here. We've had a year, closed 4 deals this year. I've got a flip going on currently. So we've got some traction and some business, and we've tested our systems enough times to where I think that we need to put more pressure on the system and break our system a little bit more. And I feel like direct to seller is going to be kind of the way that we're going to go with it.
Okay. As far as your VA goes, are you using the same company that your current one is with?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
which is not the sub two people. It's a different group.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, we're gonna hire through there. The person who owns or partners with the person who owns or co-owns the VA system that I work through. She happens to also be my CSM or my
Okay.
VA, manager, and so
Yeah.
she's seen us interact over the last 10 months or so, because she took over around the like beginning of the year, maybe springish.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm really comfortable with her. She kind of knows how I interact with my VAs, or with my VA, and so yeah, we're pretty excited about it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited for you. You've come a long ways since you originally started with direct to seller, I think, but that didn't
Yeah,
last a whole lot.
yeah. So and I'm actually going to do none of the talking to the leads. Actually, Markeisha will do the lead talking
Okay.
because our goal is a lot more like creative. And she's an OG sub two member. I think she was a member when there was still less than 100 people.
Okay.
Um, she really has that stuff down really, really super well. And she's also a real estate agent here. So she's really comfortable talking to sellers like that.
Oh yeah.
So she's going to pull the list. She's got some cool tools that she can use as an agent. So she's going to pull the list. Um, we're going to work on expired listings first.
Okay.
So she'll pull the list. The VA will call. We're going to, uh, if the we'll she'll use the list, use the tools. The VA will have they'll go through the 4 pillars, but we'll kind of build out the script a little bit more for them because it's not so cold call-y.
Right.
They've had their house on the market for whatever reason it didn't sell, and now we're just trying to circle back around again and see if we can help them out creatively. The first deal that we got under contract this summer was actually a sub two deal.
Yeah.
So it could be a really good little jump start for us. So yeah.
And are you sticking in the same market right now? Because I know, and this is outside of our conversation
Yep.
here, but you
Yep.
had talked about maybe shifting markets at one point, but you're just trying
Yeah.
to plug the gap in that winter season right now when
Yeah, I think we're going to give this a run. So our goal is to close about 3 or 4 more deals this year. If we can close 3 or 4 more deals this year, then my partner or Sophie can kind of retire from her 9 to 5 or her W-2 and then go full time. I haven't actually even talked to the girls about this yet, but I'll do it anyways. So my goal is to kind of get this down with direct to seller. Um, and then probably once Sophie's out and she can devote more time, because I do acquisition and training. So I've trained our VA. I've trained Jerry for the last almost year.
yeah.
I'm going to train the new VA. And then I think the next step for us then is work the Minnesota market as much as we possibly can, see what that looks like for 90 days. And then if we need to, then we can start putting so Sophie does disposition and some TC stuff for us.
Okay.
I could probably put Sophie into like the Florida market and she could start to build a buyer's list down there as well. We'd use Privy for that and just kind of like scope out, sold properties. So we already have a little bit of a process and a system flow as to how we would go about doing that. I still think that's probably a viable option for us.
Okay.
Is going into Florida as well. But I want to give it a run here in Minnesota for a good 90 days to see what it looks like and see what it feels like. And then, kind of whatever transitions we need to make, we'll make them.
When are you going live with this?
So we talk to our VA tomorrow. We
Okay.
interview our VAs tomorrow. And then I hope to by next Monday, we're live with it.
Okay. Yeah, so you're going to
Yeah.
be hitting the ground running. And this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
going to really test your winter theory out because we're coming up into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And we're already, so I can tell you the interesting trend because I've seen it twice now. I think like if you can see something twice, you're starting to see a pattern. I won't know until like next September again. But for whatever reason in September, everything slows way down in Minnesota. This happened last year too. And then from October to like right before Christmas last year, we had a pretty hot run in the market. So
Huh.
I feel like we've got a good 90-day run
Okay.
that we can, or let's say an 85-day run, right? That we can make, or an 80-day run that we can make a hard push, get those 3 or 4 deals closed, and then kind of reevaluate again after that and see what we want to do with the VA. And then do we want to continue are we having that success with the direct to seller here, or do we need to switch markets? And if we need to switch markets, then we will. Jerry's been doing a pretty decent job with agents down in in Florida, he's actually getting agents sending him leads via text and stuff like that.
Wow. Okay.
Outside of anything that I have done down there. So it's just him like doing the work down there.
Wow.
What we've also found is agents in Florida are a lot more personable than agents in Minnesota. If you're an agent in Minnesota, I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers. I've talked to hundreds of agents on both sides. They're just nicer down there.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
It's a
So
365 sunshine and yeah,
yeah, I don't know what it is,
just
dude.
goes
Well,
under.
I think what it is, I think a large part of what it is that there's a lot of transplants down in Florida, and there's just not a lot of transplants up here.
Yeah.
People move to Minnesota, but there's this very insular feeling.
I can
When
see that.
I call an agent with a Michigan number, and they're like, "Are you from Minnesota?" Yeah. Well, how come you have a Michigan number? Bro, it's 2023.
Yeah. Everybody
Like
has
it's
a
not
different
it's not
number.
1942.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I'm like, my cell phone number is old enough to drink.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm not switching just because I moved to another market, but I called on to Florida and nobody bats an eye.
Every time I talk to you, I
Yep.
hear some new little quip like that.
Yep.
My phone number is old enough to drink, and it's just
Yeah.
I wanna go back to when you decided to make the shift originally from direct to seller, direct to agent. How long after you made that shift did it take to get your first deal? Because from my memory, it was a long time.
Oh, well, yeah, a long time for everybody that's killing it on
Well,
on the interwebs. Yeah, literally, it was about a year from the time that I joined Sub to until I actually collected a check.
yeah.
So,
And what I want to kind of
yep.
it is a long time in people with that like instantaneous mentality of like I did this for 2 weeks and I didn't get like nothing happened. So like I know you've come from a business background prior to
Yep.
this and having your own
Yep.
business. Like what kept you going forward in that year that you were like, maybe at the 3 month mark or the 6 month mark or the 9 month mark, like didn't throw up your hands and go, this isn't working.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, a little bit was I've been self-employed for I'll just say all my life almost now. Like I started working for or 1099,
Okay.
like I was 1099 or self-employed like at 21, and I just never went back. So the thing that I felt like, well, two things. One, we're going to move from Minnesota back to Michigan in a couple 3 to 4 years, and so I had shut down my business. COVID kind of shut down my business. It never really kind of like really ramped back up really hard. And then two, my wife and I sat down and had a pretty serious conversation. Luckily, I have my significant other makes enough in her job for us to be stable while I was not, generating any money.
Mm.
And then, like, I saw progress along the way. Like, we were getting better. When we first got done with when the first Elephant Challenge ended, and we were calling and making offers, and all of those things, we were getting better. And then we had gotten some things under contract, but had to break them because one time, I didn't have the full picture of the property. But I saw this little progress along the way, and I saw us get really, really super close. And then, it just didn't happen. And then over the winter, we had two properties under contract that our buyers wanted, but the investor that was on the other end of it. So we had an agent bring us two off-market properties, separate agents. No, this happened three times actually. Three separate agents brought us off-market properties. They were rentals. We showed them to some of our buyers, got them under contract, and then all of a sudden the investor got wind that we were wholesaling it, and then got their underwear all in a bunch, and like became extremely difficult.
Yeah.
And so we had to break contracts. So that wasn't on us.
Right.
That was on an investor. I don't know what the problem was, to be honest with you. Dude, you want to get rid of the property. Who cares?
Yeah. We agreed to a price.
Like,
What if this isn't
yeah,
working? Yeah.
yeah. So we were just making progress along the way. And that was the thing that I felt like was super important. The other thing that I knew is that I had three other people that I'm working with. and I could feel the trust between the three of us continue to grow. So between Sophie and Markeisha and I, and then between especially Jerry when Jerry came on, because originally I had a different VA,
Right.
and then we kind of let that VA go. He quit, like a kind of the same, thing, and then I had to bring Jerry on, and then I could see Jerry was trying, like I could see the effort that Jerry wanted to make. So I was watching the relationships grow, and it just felt like we were so close so many times, and then something happened.
Yeah. There was a couple things in there for sure, is that it sounds like your like mentality is very strong. So you didn't take these, some people might take these close, man, I was so
Yeah,
close and I couldn't make it happen. Like, I guess it's not for me. Um, so you go, I was close, I got a taste of it. Now I want the whole bite kind of thing. And like the second one is like you were seeing the improvements in your systems and your processes and not just the result. And now you're not one, and you and I have talked about this, that it's, anybody can get one deal, lucky get
right,
one deal, but it's getting the three, four, five, 10, 100 that is the systems and processes that you were talking about that you were building up, that all of a sudden now you're doing, you're saying, I want to get three more within the next 2 months. And you have the
right.
capabilities to do that because your processes are all nice and ironed out. So you have a VA that's making calls to agents, text to agents,
Yep, both.
and then is he doing like a lot of the initial um inbound, outbound talking to the agent, or like once somebody says, yeah, I'm interested, is that transferred over to somebody like yourself?
It really depends.
Okay.
He has. I have about four agents that we work with, that we like to work with, and they like to work with us.
Okay.
So what I actually see is collaboration.
Yeah.
I have other agents that I don't like to work with, but they still send us leads, and I don't look at their leads
Okay.
because they're knuckleheads.
Yeah.
And we have wholesalers like that. I mean, that's not just an agent thing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's just other people. So yeah, Jerry does a majority of the. In the beginning, it was me on the phone calling the agents, going out and meet for coffee, all the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remove myself from that as much as I possibly can, because eventually I'm not going to be here, and I'm not gonna have the luxury to go out and grab coffee with an agent.
Right.
So I'm trying to let him get as many reps in as he possibly can. Um, and like I can see him getting confident. Like he had a 22-minute phone conversation with an agent,
Yeah.
right? Like that tells me that he's doing, and he's not nervous any longer talking to agents. So I'll let him do as much of that as we possibly can. I went out and met an agent on Friday. I met her over in this co-working space, talked to her for a little bit. If I have an agent that really like all Jerry is also almost my litmus test for if I want to work with the agent or not.
Okay.
Um, he's kind of is kind of becoming a gatekeeper a little bit for me, right?
That's awesome.
So if you talk to Jerry and you're cool with Jerry, then I want to talk to you. If you talk to Jerry and you're not cool with Jerry, then I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because if you're not cool with someone on my team, that's going to be a problem later on down the road,
Right. I love
right?
that.
We're going to run into that again. So yeah, he's getting to the place. He can run numbers like as a loose comp.
Okay.
Um, so that I'm going to lean on him to do more and more and more of that, especially as I pick up this other VA and I need to dedicate more time to that process. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh, I don't know what happened.
Um,
Just like
yeah,
blipped for a second.
yeah, hold on.
It looks good over here.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, all right. My phone rang, so
Oh, okay.
yeah. So we're having all kinds of great technical
Yeah,
issues on
yeah.
my end today. Yeah. I look like such a pro here. So yeah, he's becoming more and more competent. As he's gaining more experience and things like that. So eventually, my goal is to have him be able to run a comp that's decent enough to where I can confidently pass it on to Markeisha, because Markeisha does a lot of the comping and underwriting for us.
Okay.
Um, and then we can then circle back around and go, at least start the conversation of like, hey, is this a deal that we want to go after? What's our MAO? Like what do we, or max allowable offer? What do we want to have happen as we're moving forward with this?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he's the gatekeeper in more than one sense, it sounds like.
Yeah, eventually. Because
Yeah.
again, I'm trying to fire myself. I'm trying to
Yeah.
fire myself from a lot of these task roles that really anybody can do.
Yeah.
Like you and I have talked about. My wife delivers babies. Like she does hard work. This
Yeah.
is not hard work.
Yeah.
This is not work that like you have to kind of go to school and learn how to make sure
Yeah.
you don't kill people when you deliver
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
Like nobody dies. This is what I used to say to
Yeah.
Jerry for a while when he would get like kind of nervous and maybe make a mistake. I'm like, Jerry, did anybody die?
No.
No. Okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
So
your water's still sitting on the desk in front of you. Your wife's
right.
still waiting for you, or
Right.
whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
taking any of that away from you. I like
No.
I forget who it was. It's somebody probably from the Daily Dials. Like they can't take your birthday away, right?
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
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 I appreciate it. Do you have any like if somebody's trying to approach direct to agent the way you have, is
Mm-hmm.
there any like tidbits or like little things that maybe you've learned that could jump somebody up a step or two?
Yeah. I have when I was training Jerry to call agents, here's the things that I said to them. First of all, you have to remember you're asking the agent to do the very bare minimum of their job.
Mm.
You're calling the agent about something that they've done training on, and they have a license or they've joined an organization and their client has signed a contract that you're going to help me sell my house.
Yeah.
Right? You're not calling somebody out of the blue and asking them if you can drive their car to the South Pole, right? So you're asking the agent to do their bare minimum of their job, and then also we really try hard to foster that. Look, I'm looking to create a long-term relationship with the agent. Relationships over transactions.
Mhm.
So and we're very very clear with like, hey, up front, I'm probably going to wholesale this property. I'm just going to get this out of the way. If you get cold feet on that for whatever reason, because it's your brokerage or you don't like that, let me know up front. And then we're good. I'm not offended by that. I just need
Yeah.
to know that you're comfortable with that. And then also, I tell them, look, you're going to send me a lot of properties. I'm going to evaluate a lot of them. Most of them aren't going to work. Just because the numbers don't work for us. It doesn't, our job is to comp and make offers that are good for an investor. Your job is to mostly, if you don't work with investors on the regular, is just to find people houses. They're two very different things. And then we're going to submit a bunch of offers,
Yeah.
and we're going to get a lot of them rejected. And so that's also a little bit of a litmus test as well. Like, can you withstand, like, one agent that I have is a rock star. I love this dude, Johnny Kane, right?
Okay.
I can't tell you how many offers with Johnny. We had one on the hook this summer that thought I was going to close. We still haven't closed business with him. We haven't closed a deal with him yet in a year. And I work with him on a quite regular basis, but we're both invested in the relationship. So
Yeah.
they're people, you're asking them to do their job, and just really focus on quality relationships is the big advice I would give people.
Yeah, I love that. I think the relationship aspect of direct to agent is super powerful if you
Yep.
approach it the way you have.
Yep.
And you use the word litmus test, and I kind of in this situation we can substitute like it's an upfront contract. You've
Yeah.
set like two or three things there with this person right off the bat, like, hey, if you're not cool with wholesaling, like this isn't a relationship we should be in. We should get this
Right.
out right off the bat. If you're not
Right.
cool with me, like looking at 100 properties to offer on 10 or
Yep.
whatever your numbers are,
Yep.
like that's not like, let's get that off the bat. If you're not cool with me submitting those 10 offers and knowing that 99% of them are gonna not be good, then
Yep.
like hit the bricks too. And then
Yep.
you get four, like you said, that are
Yeah.
super solid, and you're going to be able to
Yeah.
do lots of deals
And
with them in the future.
yeah, and in that too, like our agent list is, I think we have 9,000 people on our agent list.
Yeah.
right? Now, also sometimes you're hitting them at a certain time too, right? Like some days people won't pick up the phone, or when they pick up the phone, I don't know, their peanut butter and jelly sandwich didn't taste good, and so
Yeah.
they're not in a good mood,
Yeah.
and they don't want to talk to you. And then you call them again a couple of weeks later, and they're like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" So it's some of that is the consistency as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's another topic there for sure because
Right,
consistency, like
right.
like we talked about with you, you had consistency early on, and
Yep.
when a lot of people would have gotten rid of it, you would have dropped it. I have a couple just fun kind of
Sure.
off topicy. I mean, potentially. Let's see how you take it. If you could have dinner with anybody, like could be alive, passed away, who would you have dinner with, and what would you talk to them about?
It's funny when we were off before we got on, you asked me this question, and there was a couple people that jumped up right away. But I think that the person that I would want to have dinner with as an adult would be my mom's dad, my grandpa. My
Yeah.
grandpa passed when I was 9, and he was a really super important person to me um as a kid, right? Like I just had this connection with my grandpa, and then he passed, and I would love to be able to sit down with my grandpa today as an adult, with him as an adult, and have a conversation with him about, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
so that would be I could say, like, I would have loved to have talked to Muhammad Ali, or I would have loved to have talked to Bruce Lee, or somebody like that. But really, I think probably the person that would mean the most to me is my grandpa.
Yeah, you know what? I've heard this kind of question asked probably my entire life.
Sure.
And only since I've asked this question, I've gotten very similar answers. And I
Sure.
love it
Yeah.
because it has totally reframed like, yeah, I'd love to talk to both of my grandfathers who I barely knew. I think
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
both,
Yeah.
from what I know, amazing people and would
Yeah.
have been amazing to know, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be cool to talk to Bruce Lee, sure, but most
Yeah.
about Bruce Lee I already know, right? Like,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I appreciate you, Shawn. It's always a
Yep.
pleasure. We always smile and chuckle whatever we're talking about. Um, how would people, I guess before I even ask you that, like, how could somebody work with you, or are you looking for anything to kind of help move your needle?
Yeah, I think one of the things that, as we're building out this kind of framework now, here in the Minnesota group particularly, we've had a couple of people reach out to us within the last couple of weeks about, hey, how do we work with you guys, or how do we help you guys out? And I think we're really looking for people who want to make some calls,
Okay.
to sellers, and we can set folks, people up with that. Um, I when we first started talking about it, I was a little hesitant because I know that, by and large, and I'm not saying this like to be mean or to be disrespectful or dismissive, but most people aren't going to make it in this industry. I mean, it's just the facts. Most people don't make it in business. Look up the SBA numbers. That's not me being a jerk. That's the SBA being a jerk, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted something that was a little bit more consistent, and that's why we're hiring the VA. But along with that, like, now that we're going to have some consistent action that we can start to build metrics and numbers off of, I think it would be cool for the local, community, or maybe even not so local community, for people who might want to, jump on and make some calls. If they want to do that, that would be cool. Also, I am a Gator member as well,
Okay.
so I do have some funds available to lend on. I'm not looking for private money lending. I'm looking to do Gator deals.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are a couple ways that I think that people could work with us, the squad more locally, and then with just Sophie and I on some Gator deals too.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. What's the best way for somebody to reach out to you? And
They can reach out to me on Facebook. I mean, I think we're all kind
okay.
of on Facebook
Yeah.
still, through the sub two community. So if they look me up and friend request me and say, "Hey, I'm a weirdo sub two member like you are," I'll talk. I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know,
Make sure you send
yeah,
them a message with the friend request. I know our
yeah, yeah,
friend JJ would preaches that. Send the message.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah,
the
for sure.
unsolicited friend requests don't go a long way. Yeah, with that, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, Shawn. Um, let's say peace for now.
Yeah, man. It was great to see you, man.
Yeah. Oh, oh,
See, look at that.
balloons coming on. That's staying
I
in
don't
there for
even know,
sure.
dude. Yeah, I don't even know, dude.